Welcome back to another episode of the North Star Takes podcast. It's a Minnesota sports podcast. I'm Bailey Policki. He's Jacob Liberta. Today we're going to be talking Minnesota Timberwolves. They're finally kind of getting through the end of their COVID stretch here. They've gone 3-5 over their last 8 games. Obviously tough with, your best players out, and Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell have been out the full 10 days. Anthony Edwards missed the full 10 days, and those kind of overlapped each other. Obviously, the heartbeats of the team, Pat Bev and Jared Vanderbilt, had a missed time as well. So they've managed to kind of tread water over this recent stretch of games here. Probably lost a couple of games they could have won. Even like that Knicks game was horrifically ugly. They let one of those Mavs games get away from them as well.
They could have won that Lakers game too.
Yeah, and the most recent Lakers game. So honestly, they've played competitively in pretty much every single game. So that's about all you can ask, especially when you're running guys out there like Greg Monroe off the street. Nathan Knight's getting some good run. Jordan McLaughlin's playing a lot of minutes. I was pretty impressed with the overall effort. So last night they beat the Clippers. Anthony Edwards has a great game. Jaden McDaniels has a really good game.
Naz Reid,
yeah, had great
recently.
first half, and he's been spectacular. So it was kind of funny because when Naz Reid was out, people were speculating, maybe like Nathan Knight can come in and steal some minutes from him, or maybe Greg Monroe can play more and take some minutes from Naz. But I don't know, man. Naz has improved quite a bit, and he's very, very good bench center, I think. But this team just getting their guys back at the absolute right time. What are your thoughts, I guess, on this Timberwolves team lately? It's been hard. It's been a little hard to watch with all the good players out, but it's also been competitive and kind of fun at the same time.
Yeah, it's a interesting mix right now with all of our star players kind of being in and out of the lineup, and you're relying on these role players to really carry the team. And truthfully, a 3-5 stretch with the guys we've been putting out there, especially in those games without the big three, especially. I think I can't complain about the effort, can't complain about the product they're really putting on the floor. I get it. Kind of looks sloppy at times, like you mentioned. I think the one that comes to mind the most is probably that Knicks game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not going to expect that to be pretty by any means. So they're hanging in all these games, and obviously there's a couple that we could have had actually, but 3-5, I can live with that. It's only 2 games below 500. And really, this could have just as easily been probably a 6-7 game losing streak or somewhere in there for an old Wolves team. So, you know what? That's a step in the right direction. Shows that we have at least a little bit of depth that we can count on here and there. And I think that's a testament to the roster makeup of this team. I think everybody is bringing heart every night, and that's great. Especially when you watch a game like last night's Clippers, and it's clearly not for them. Like, it's the Wolves definitely had all the heart. So I think it's cool to see we're not one of those teams that just doesn't show up when our star players aren't there. So
yeah.
I'm really excited about this, and I think with everybody coming back, I think we're going to be just fine. I think as we talked about before, I think if they can be around 500 or preferably a little bit over 500 by the All-Star break, that's really what I'm hoping for. But
yeah, same here. And you mentioned it. We're going to get Cat and D'Lo back. It's sounding like we're going to release this video Wednesday, and it sounds like they'll be back Wednesday against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Perfect. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's on the COVID list. He's their best player. So, you're going into 2 games in a row here against the Thunder that are very winnable, followed by the Houston Rockets and the New Orleans Pelicans after that. So, this is a nice 4-game stretch here to get these guys back. Ease them back in, get that chemistry back again, because it's been quite a while since the whole team has played together. Yeah, and honestly, I'm kind of happy it happened when it did. It's a bummer that all these guys had to miss 10 days. Like, it's too bad none of them could have came back sooner. But I think this happened at the perfect time for the Timberwolves, just because some other teams will probably start going through it now too, especially teams that are in front of you. Like, the Lakers have already kind of gone through it, and the Clippers are sort of going through it now too, but maybe like the Denver Nuggets or Memphis Grizzlies, go through it now. So you never know what's going to happen. But through all this, the Timberwolves are still only 2 games back of the 5 seed with a soft schedule coming up and their whole lineup getting healthy. I think this team is showing it's going to be in the thick of it all season long.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think this is great. We're after this 4-game stretch, I think we'll be exactly halfway through the season against these bad teams. So realistically, if you feel like you can win these 4 games against teams that you should beat, then you're sitting a game over 500 after the first half of the season. I think
Yeah.
that's exactly where you would hope we'd be coming into the season. So that's something to be excited about. And I think these are nice games probably for these guys to ease back into it too, like D'Lo and Cat once they get back on the floor. Like
Hmm.
it's good. We're not just gonna hit the best of the best right away, and it would look messier. But I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, it's you're still gonna have to shake off some rust. You're still playing. You're still gonna have to show up and play and put forth at least a decent effort. But I think if you're gonna ask to play anybody in this league, really, with these guys kind of not being 100% yet, it's these are probably some of the teams you'd probably draw out of the hat that you'd want the most. So
Yeah.
I gotta say I think this looks good right now, and just gotta take care of business and really put away those wins where you should.
Absolutely. And then like looking beyond these next 4 games, you got at Memphis, which will be a tough one. Memphis usually plays us tough, even though we blew them out the last time we played them.
Mhm.
Golden State at home, like that's obviously going to be a very tough game. But
Yep.
then you got the Knicks, who obviously are not good. We just saw that.
No, we should be able
Um,
to win that game.
Atlanta Hawks are struggling. I saw they have about the same record we do right now. Actually, I think they'd be a game worse than us. I think I saw they're 16-20, which really surprising. But maybe they
After
were maybe they were a little
East,
bit of frauds last year. I don't know.
after an Eastern Conference Finals appearance, it is surprising.
And then Brooklyn Nets will be hard, but then you got Portland, which obviously Portland's struggling too. So like, there's not really a lot of hard game. Like Golden State and Brooklyn will be pretty hard, but
Hmm.
you're gonna have those every now and then. But I think yeah, like you said, if we can get to that game above 500, and then we can just kind of ride the wave of staying around 500. Don't get too low. I mean, it'd be nice to get high, but
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
get higher than a game or two above 500. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't see that happening.
It'll be tough because you look ahead of this January schedule. Obviously, you don't see a lot of home games on there. Like I think it's just 3 this month, and
Yeah.
that counts this game coming up on Wednesday night against the Thunder.
Yep.
So yeah, that I mean that's an uphill climb in itself, going on all these road trips, these long road trips. So I think that'll be um, harder waters to tread, but hopefully we're up to it.
Just another quick note on the schedule here. I'm looking at the end of the month.
Hmm.
Uh, the last 3 games of January is at Golden State, at Phoenix, and then home versus Utah, and then you have another home game against Denver. So that's a really tough
That's
stretch of 4 games.
that's brutal.
But then after that, you're rewarded with back to backs against Detroit, back to backs against Sacramento. Then you get to play Chicago, who's pretty good. But then you get
Yeah,
Indiana and Charlotte and Toronto. Like
that sounds like that's
that's a
probably right
nice
around
stretch.
before the All Star break, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. Probably. I mean, granted, then you'd kill your momentum going an All Star weekend, but at the same time, maybe you can feed off it coming out of the break, being in such a good spot, but then just build off of it. And hopefully, this team is really built for a stretch run at the end of the season. And that's when they play their best basketball. Is what you can really hope for. But I think yeah, there's a lot of ebbs and flows with the schedule. Like you said, I mean, there's gonna be a stretch at that end of the month one. I couldn't draw it up any worse, really. But then after
Yeah.
that, having back to backs against what was it, Detroit, and the other team was
Sacramento.
Sacramento. Oh yeah, you better clean up on those ones.
Yeah, and I think they will. And like with the All Star weekend, I'd imagine maybe Cat will get in, but I don't think any other players will actually play in the All Star game.
Probably.
Maybe Ant will go as like a dunk contest or skills competition guy, but
Hmm.
other than that, I don't think any other Timberwolves will be there. So
Probably not. And I guess with guys in and out, I can definitely see that. But I think these guys have played, I think a lot of them have put forth all star performances as far as being like, think about Ant hitting those 10 threes against Denver. And I mean, he
yeah,
can flash at any point in time and he can kind of carry when he has those hot nights. But
yep,
and you even got D'Lo, who seems the most important to winning of anybody on this roster. So I think there's a lot of cases. Vando, I think he's actually played very well this season, but it's just these guys have been too in and out of the lineup. But
right, exactly. Over this last 8 game stretch, who has really stuck out to you as being a crucial part of the team going forward here? That yeah, their role will get smaller, but they're still going to have a critical role on this team.
I think there's a lot of guys you could bring up here, and I think that's a good problem to have. But I
Yeah,
really got to look at Jalen Noel, probably. I think that's just huge off the bench to be able to create his own shot and facilitate when necessary, and just really be a guy out there steadying force. I don't know.
yep.
He can kind of pick you up, or really pick the bench up when we're kind of sputtering out there. So I think that's probably about as important as any that I can think of off the top of my head right now. But what are you thinking, Bailey?
I'm gonna go with. I mean, it's a little more of an obvious answer, but Jaden McDaniels has really
Yeah,
picked it up over the last several games,
great answer.
and he had all the hype going into this season. Like he was the star of the summer league team.
Hmm.
Chris Finch was like comparing him to Scottie Pippen. Like I mean, he had all these like crazy, all these people talking crazy about him,
Yeah.
and he kind of started off slow. He wasn't able to find a shot. He wasn't being very aggressive, but
Hmm.
over the last several games, and even going back to before Cat and D'Lo and all those guys were out,
Hmm.
he's been playing very well lately, and I think he's
Sure.
finally starting to find his shot. Like if he can knock down corner threes, he's going to get those all the time. So he can
It's
make
a
a living
massive
off
upgrade.
doing that.
Yeah.
He's a great defensive player, and yeah, I've been super impressed with his all around game. And the Timberwolves could really use a guy like that who he's more of a 3 than a 4, but he's got the length. He's obviously got height, and if he can have a good offensive game to go with his defense, I mean, he's going to be a very important player for this team moving forward.
Yes, 100%. I think that's massive. He's got such a unique skill set and frame that he's a pretty dangerous weapon for us to have out of our back pocket off the bench. So I'm pretty excited to see how he evolves. Really, I think the rest of the season, but not only in uh, not only in this season, but really beyond. So as long as we keep him around, assuming he's not part of some trade package or something like that. And
Right.
which, speaking of which, I'm kind of cool with just riding with this roster and seeing what happens to finish out this year.
I am too. Like, especially if you can find some sort of way to keep Greg Monroe in your back pocket.
Hmm.
I think if you ever have a night where Cat gets in foul trouble, or you just need a big to be in there to bang with like Jonas Valanciunas or Steven Adams,
Yeah.
I just think having a guy like Greg Monroe who is making close to nothing,
Yeah.
at the end of your bench, but I mean, he's productive when he's in there, and the guy can pass. Like, I think it'd be nice to keep him around, honestly, and then then you don't need to go trade for like a Miles Turner, I don't think, because then you have that weapon when you need it.
Seasoned
And
NBA vet.
exactly, and then like Malik Beasley, he's such a roller coaster too. Like he'll have a really good game, and then he'll have a not so good game, and people want to trade him and they want to keep him, and it's like I'm with you. I just think you should let it ride, see if he can settle into a nice role here, especially when guys get back. Because if he can start knocking down shots at a high clip again, I mean, he's going to be an extremely important player too. So there's so many different facets to this team that are interesting, and I think they just need a couple guys, Beasley, Torian Prince, to name a few, to just come around and start playing their game better.
For sure. Yeah. I think you make a great point there with Beasley. I know he's probably the most controversial player, I would say, on this team, whether
Yeah,
you like him or hate him. Because, like, on the one side, you said he can shoot the lights out some nights, but other nights he'll shoot brick after brick after brick. And it's like, why do we have this guy on this team playing this many minutes? So
yeah,
I think if we could just ride this out, see what happens. I don't think anybody has super high expectations for any sort of playoff run. I mean, obviously, that'd just be gravy, but
yeah.
I think if it doesn't look like it fits or something doesn't work with this team, then you can evaluate the offseason and make the necessary moves.
Absolutely. So we'll keep an eye on it as it goes here, and really looking forward to getting the full squad back here and seeing some more cupcake opponents on the schedule. So
Yes, can't
I,
wait.
I guess you never know with the Timberwolves, but I mean, should be wins. So that's
Totally.
going to do it. Yes, that's going to do it for this edition of the North Star Takes podcast. Please hit the subscribe button, especially if you're a Minnesota sports fan. Give this video a like as well and help us reach more Minnesota Timberwolves fans. Feel free to follow us on both Twitter and Instagram, and leave your comments below how you feel how the Wolves handled the COVID stretch, what your expectations are for the team as they approach the All-Star break here, and if you want to see them make any moves or not. So thanks for watching.